Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Big drama emerging last night with regard to Ye. Just a few months ago, his stint on DSG unceremoniously came to an end, and Steel at the time was heavily implying that Ye was part of the problem on that roster. A clip comes to the fore last night suggesting a similar thing, and especially with Bleed apparently not practicing with Ye before they actually decided to make the call to sign him, could they have a similar issue to GSG going into the new year? Will Bleed struggle? Will their chemistry be any good? Will Ye be able to fix up how things were going a few months ago on DSG? Very much enjoy to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. There's lots to talk about this as well over the last few days. You guys have probably seen this Sphere in Las Vegas. Crazy stuff in terms of being a concert venue, and there's been lots of talk about what they could potentially host here instead. And people have said, what about doing the VALORANT World Championship here? As Sean Gare said, imagine an insane clutch and seeing the champions finisher in this one. And actually, Supercakes here from Riot says, thought the same thing, or when the spike explodes. So kind of saying that, well, they at least are aware of the possibility this could happen. Now, I don't imagine this would be the best venue just because it gotta be boiling hot in there, right? Like, there's no way there's good enough ventilation. I'm sure it would be boiling in there, like really hot, and the players wouldn't, I imagine, be a massive fan of that. But honestly, who knows? If they can find a way to make it work, it could not be out of the realms of possibility for Riot Games. If there's any studio and production that would actually potentially give this a go, it probably is going to be Riot Games. So yeah, we'll see if that goes anywhere, although it is unlikely. Now, also speaking of what Riot have been up to, they've been pushing heavily into the Chinese region for sure over the last couple of seasons, and the VCT China is now official for the new year. Now, there's this evolution series going on because around the world, we know full well that Gentlemates qualified through Ascension for EMEA, it was Bleed that qualified through Ascension for the Pacific, and the Guard qualified, that's now going to be G2 effectively, for the Americas region. But in China, there was no league last year, so there was no Ascension last year, and therefore they only have kind of 10 partner teams that are being selected. But there is one more team in December that will come in. So Ascension is going to be run in December instead, and to actually qualify for that, you need to do well in this Evolution series, which has currently been ongoing. Now, this is also basically a tournament, an off-season tournament for the actual teams that already got selected to play in, the likes of Weibo, EDG, FPX, BLG, just an off-season tournament. So last night we got to see the winners, and that went the way of Edward Gaming. They got the win 3-1 over Rare Atom. But yeah, Rare Atom looking particularly impressive. We can actually see the run here that was made. So Edward took down Attacking Soul Esports, they took down Trace, they took down ASC, they took down FPX, and they took down Rare Atom in the finals. But Rare Atom made quite the nice run. I mean, they took down Weibo Gaming, they took down Trace, ASC, they beat FPX 3-2, and then in the finals, they lost 3-1 to Edward Gaming. They did actually beat them here on this bind, 14-12, very impressively so. Yes, Kang dominated the server, as you'd expect, but Stu, a Korean player, who has, I'm supposing, being overlooked by many of the Korean teams in that region, was also looking really good on the duel list. So yeah, pretty promising stuff, just to see how that region's going to go, and Rare Atom will try and prove they are the real deal going forwards. Couple of other rumours going around as well. Alejandro says that Eros has reached a verbal agreement with KOI to be their assistant coach, so changes going around all over the shop. And we also got this from Koala Noob: I can keep competing for another year. The rumour was Koala Noob will stay on M80. That was what we heard the other day, that, you know, we know with Xander, we think he's going to be staying, Nismo's going to stay, Nitro's coming in, and that's pretty much what M80 are doing for the new season. Because, for example, John QT, we know, has, of course, gone over to Sentinels now. So M80 looking to rebuild, but pretty similar roster. Now, there is a possibility as to what NRG are doing right now, just because yes, he's signed a new deal. We don't know where it is yet. The last couple of days, Flynn hasn't come out with a spreadsheet. He's been busy. He's been doing some stuff. So we don't really have massive updates and rumors on this front over the last couple of days. But there is still a general feeling that NRG, well, aren't really sure what they're up to right now because they probably can't get the EG guys. We did see some rumors the other day that Stella is their new kind of target as an IGL, which may or may not be the case. So they might need a player like Koala Noob. So I don't know, they've probably re-signed him to M80, but still, if NRG have come knocking quickly to try and get some deal done, this is an option as well. So definitely stay tuned for that one. But the big drama that was going around yesterday was around Ye. We know that he joined Bleed the other day. Crazy turn of events, really, right? I mean, the amount of cash that's going in here, fair play. It's good stuff. The Aventador, good times. But Ye was actually talked about by Ominous, the analyst of the roster for the Bleed guys. So talking about really how this came to be and how they went through on making this decision. And the first thing that was mentioned in this interview was the fact that they didn't practice with Ye at all before they made this decision. Now, this in Valorant is actually quite rare generally, because the game is the same all the time, I mean, roughly at least. Usually, teams will practice with a player. They'll bring him in, they'll scrim with him for a little bit, they'll try it out, and they'll see, does this work, does this not work, and then they'll move on, or they'll stick with it. Now, in other esports, you can't necessarily do this. In other sports as well, you can't necessarily do this. You've got to make the call, is the player going to be a good fit? And if he is, let's do it. You know, in Call of Duty, for example, the game is different. You make a decision with your roster when the new game isn't even out yet. So you have to make a decision as to what you think is going to happen rather than actually get the chance to play. In Valorant, you can get the chance to play, but it's not a brand new thing, you know, like it does happen in other games. Even we get some discussion like in LoL and CS, it's very common for players not to practice with new teams before they get signs. And clearly Bleed were so confident they wanted a guy like Ye. Maybe they tried to get Aspas, maybe they tried to get Demon 1, but they tried to get Ye as well. And maybe it was like, look, we can get Ye, we can pay him this amount of money. We wanted to do it last year, we can now do it right now. Let's just get him in. We'll make the team work around him. How's it going to work in terms of communication? How's it going to work in terms of chemistry? You don't really know, but even then, even if you trial Ye for like a week, I don't know, and he doesn't get an offer elsewhere because you can offer him too much money that he's never going to be able to say no, possibly. Even then, after a week of practice, do you really get the whole picture? Probably not, right? I mean, it takes the season, it takes actual proper match play to really decide things. So I don't think this is a bad thing from Bleed at all, but it's just interesting that until pretty much now, they've not actually played with each other as a team. So you don't really know, is it going to work? But look, clearly Bleed are committed to making it work with Ye, and they've got him on a 2-year deal. If it doesn't work out with this roster of 5, they will make some changes until it does work out, I imagine will be the case. Now, a few months ago, Ye was in a tricky spot because his stock was diminishing when he was on the bench for Cloud9, or he basically just got dropped from Cloud9, so he wasn't having the greatest time. Then he went to DSG, and people expected, yeah, Ye's going to absolutely crush it down there. Like, there's no way he's going to struggle in challenges, but it wasn't great. I mean, his stats weren't great, but also the team environment was atrocious, and I still feel bad for Disguised Toast that he had to deal with all of this stuff. And Ye, after the fact, definitely said that he was part of the issue, but Ye also came out on stream and said that, well, you know, I'm not a one-man army, you know, like I can't do everything myself. There were obviously issues with the roster. Now, this emerges last night from this guy, Serpfryer. I don't know where he got this clip from. I know that he's been an analyst to a few teams in the Tier 2 side, but he finds this 20-second clip of during a game against Mad Lions, I believe, where Ye is clearly frustrated with, I think he was maybe talking to Nerve. I don't know which one is Mike exactly, but Ye was saying, look, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing here type thing. And clearly the frustrations were coming to a fore. Now, it seems like this guy, Serpfryer, is implying that Slow is Cool, who was their analyst, I'm guessing, was at fault for this. But I'm not really sure where that comes from. But there's been lots of drama really about the fact that this is even leaked in the first place.
Yes, it is.
Somewhat decup, my fellow defense.
Oh, by the way, I got one more thing. Okay.
Koi.
Let's get it, guys. Let's go. Let's get this fucking 8-4. Get the energy up. What are you guys gonna do on A?
That works.
Bro, Mike.
What?
Listen, I'm only gonna say this one. Focus on your own site and let me
You help him
think.
showers?
Please.
Help him showers?
I'm starting showers.
I'm gonna go long, and then I can come up here.
So I'm not really sure what Serpfryer's intentions were with leaking this, right, and making this public, but, you know, we have to talk about it because it was the big discussion of last night. And as Rossi says, things like this should never be posted to the public, regardless of who you think is in the wrong or in the right, because, you know, this is leaked comms from a match. You know, there was no permission to post this. So, yeah, controversial to say the very least. And as Elsa says, what you mean, these people are losers and need impressions that badly. We then even get this, you know, Timothy, Mr. Funhaver, as someone who actually has the VODs in these moments. This is complete BS. Everyone gets frustrated and sometimes says things. This isn't even that bad. I didn't even think it was that bad, to be fair. Posting this is mad cringe, especially tagging the analyst over whatever BS. So there's obviously some agenda that Serpfryer is coming in here against the analyst of the DSG guys. I don't really know. I guess he's saying that, oh, well, you know, Slow is Cool should have shut this down or whatever the case. I'm not really sure what he's trying to imply, but the most people read into this to say, okay, well, you know, Ye not being the best teammate is the way that it was initially looking, even though I don't really think that tells the whole story at all. I mean, it's one moment of Ye saying something which is not unreasonable given the circumstances, I would say. And yes, Ye admits that he wasn't perfect during that period, but neither was the team. And if the team is completely dysfunctional, you can't expect to perform that well on an individual level. Even as Exalt says, posting out of context clips is crazy. Surely we're just trying to put food on the table. And then Certfry talks about the gluck gluck to Ye. Exalt says ironic. And then Certfry says, because I like to think it's ironic, especially since you decided to back Ye after he tried to bribe Ocean, who was the coach, to kick Gangster. And then Exalt's like, now we're just making this up. The video was low. I don't think you could go lower. So saying that was just complete BS, this story that Certfry has come up with. So yeah, crazy thread. I don't know why this drama kicked off to the extent that it did. But what I thought was maybe most interesting was that Steel was back at it again. So most people were like, Certfry, what's this guy playing at? Searching for impressions, all this stuff. And Steel was like, yeah, focus on your own site, kind of mocking the, maybe he was mocking this guy, but I don't know. Steel commented this. And it was a little bit interesting just because a couple of months ago we saw, of course, that Gangster and Steel had a bit of a back and forth subtweeting Ye. A clip came out from Ye saying that, well, I'm not a one-man army, you know, there are other issues on the team. And Steel was basically implying that it was also Ye's fault, if not mainly Ye's fault on that roster. And Gangster and Steel had a bit of a back and forth as a result of it. So, yeah, what does that mean for the new Bleed roster? I think most people are hoping that Ye can get back to his best or near his best on that Bleed Esports roster because, you know, again, the average, there's some great teams in the Pacific and that region is looking really exciting. But in terms of like the average strength of a team in that region, it's probably lower than you'd say it is in the Americas maybe. So people expect probably Ye to go over there and, you know, do really well, drop big numbers, this type of stuff. And there was maybe similar expectations in the tier 2 scene last year that didn't necessarily materialize. And was Ye part of the issue? Probably yes, but were there other issues? Probably yes as well. So it's interesting that Bleed have gone down this route, not practiced with him. And look, I think Ye's going to be a perfectly fine teammate and player on the new roster. I just think that this DSG situation was a massive outlier. But yet there are still some questions churning around that I thought needed to be brought to the table after all the drama that went down last night. There was also this that people were noticing, especially Lux with, you know, Xander and Asuna, thanks teammate, all this. Honestly, Xander was linked to 100 Thieves. This might happen, but we don't think it will. We think Xander's going to stay with M80, which is, you know, we think Bucio's going to go over there, which is interesting. I know that 100 Thieves Xander was posted around as a possibility for some time, but for now, that does not seem like that is going to be the case. Probably just bait on this one, but very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.